morning, everyone. My name is Carla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, Carla being Crafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts that I enjoy, and a little bit of life thrown in. Today is FlossTube number 159, and it is Sunday. It's September 25th, so our last week of September already. Seems so odd to me that, you know, days and weeks go slow and the years fly by. I guess that's an old adage, everybody knows that. But I want to say welcome. If this is the first time that you have found my channel, then thank you for stopping by. I hope that you like what you see, want to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and spending this time with me. I do want to say Lashana Tova, which means Happy New Year. Tonight starts Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. Normally that would be sort of a, it's a high holy day. It would be a day to spend in synagogue tomorrow. I'm not affiliated with the synagogue right now, so I feel like it would be a little bit disingenuous for me to pretend to be observant, you know, take off work and stuff, when really I would just be taking off work to have a day off. So I will be going to work, but knowing in my heart that it is Rosh Hashanah, and I hope everybody has a sweet new year. That is what we always say, a year filled with sweetness and love. Traditionally on Rosh Hashanah we eat apples dipped in honey, which is sort of the fall and sweetness and all that kind of stuff and the bounty of the earth. So have a little bit of apples and honey on me for Rosh Hashanah this tomorrow, this weekend. I usually give a little Southern California weather update, and I was saying last week how the weather had kind of mild out. It was in the 80s. It was nice. Well, that didn't last long enough, did it? Because now we're back in another heat wave. This whole week is supposed to be up in the mid to upper 90s, and then it'll go back down again. But we have a week of, oh my God, it's too hot. And especially for the fall. It's supposed to be fall. We're supposed to be having apple spice and pumpkin pie and all those fall things. And instead, it's like, it feels like it's still watermelon season. It's hot. So yesterday, I told you guys a couple weeks ago that one of my brother's very best friends from high school passed away at a way too young age, at the age of 52. And yesterday I went to his memorial. It was a very small group, basically just the little core high school group and a couple additionals. There was me, who is a little bit older than them, my obviously my brother's sister, and then there was another girl who was a little bit younger than them that kind of was adopted by the group. This core group of 5 guys who, you know, did a lot of stuff together in high school, all the nerdy science fiction and, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars, D&D stuff. That was their core thing. They would get together on the weekends and, you know, play Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. I think they played Star Trek role-playing games. They did all kinds of stuff like that. So it was this core group, and unfortunately they lost one of the members way too soon. So I went to the memorial for Craig yesterday. My brother was there also, and, you know, it was, as these kinds of things are, very bittersweet. There was a lot of like good memories and good stories told, and of course it was really sad to be missing somebody who's taken from this earth way too early. For me, I have to say it was it brought up a lot of sort of, I don't know if scary is the right word, but stressful emotions. Craig was the only one of the group who was single, and he wasn't really a loner. He just didn't have a special person in his life, so his friends became, you know, his family. But, you know, I think that contributed a little bit to the fact that when he was ill, it wasn't, you know, taken care of maybe as much as it would have been if he had a partner. And so in some ways I feel the same way. I feel, it makes me feel a little bit scared of being alone. Which it is what it is, you know. I mean, my life circumstance is my life circumstance. But yeah, it just brought up a lot of like emotions like that. And I think it's something that unless you're in the same situation, you just don't get it, you know? You don't get, because I didn't, when I was coupled, you just don't understand how difficult everything can be when you're single, you know? In some ways, I love being single. I love not having to debate, what are we going to eat for dinner? Or what are we going to do this weekend? Or all those things. But, you know, like, I need somebody to take me to the doctor, or to bring me soup, or to help me when my car needs to go into the, you know, the repair shop, to give you a ride, all those kinds of things. You don't have that. You don't have that built-in safety net of another person to share some of the burden. And that can be a little bit difficult. And I'm sure a bunch of you out there know that. And maybe some of you don't know that because you have been coupled for a really long time. But maybe think about it, and think about your friends that don't have that in their life, and that they may need help sometimes. And it's not something that you want to ask for, because it feels like you're a grown-up. You should be able to handle life without having to ask for help, but sometimes you can't. But anyway, so going to that memorial yesterday was sort of a bittersweet experience. He was a very talented, great guy, and it's really sad that he was taken way too young. But anyway, enough of that. Friday, we had our Carla being Crafty Stitchy Zoom call. It was the first time that I had not required, if that's the right word, people to contact me on Instagram to get the meeting code and ID. I just published it in the show notes, and it seemed to work fine because I had 9 people there, and we had a great couple hours stitching and talking, and it was really fun. I actually have scheduled the next one. It's going to be on Saturday, October 15th, so that's like in 2 weeks, right? And I think I'm gonna schedule it in the morning, or my time in the morning, so it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific time. That will put you at early afternoon on the East Coast. And I'm not sure about on the other side of the world. I know when we did the Friday night one this past weekend, people were able to join from Australia because it was 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday for them, so it was a decent time. So I'm not sure if morning, I'm afraid morning on Saturday might put it in the middle of the night there. But that's why I'm moving them around. So anyway, I would love to see you guys there. Again, it's going to be October 15th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I will put the meeting ID and passcode in the description box below. If for whatever reason you can't access that, you can always message me on Instagram, but just be aware that, especially if it's right before the meeting, I may not see it. So that's part of why I decided to start doing it this way, so that you guys have access to get the information without me having, you know, that step of having to see that you want it. So yeah, so I hope to see you guys there. I may actually schedule another one in October for the last weekend. It is, well, Halloween's on a Monday. So it's the weekend before Halloween, and I might schedule one then as well. We'll see how it goes. But let me know if you would be interested in doing 2 in 1 month. Okay, I don't have any little golden book updates or anything like that. No new starts or finishes, but I do have several whips to show you. First being, where did I put it? Right here. Is I worked on Stitching the Situation. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel, haven't been watching me, and don't know about this, Stitching the Situation is an art project that was started by an artist in, I want to say Portland, the Portland area. And she lost an uncle early in COVID and started this project as a way to process the feelings and everything of this pandemic. So basically what it is there is a block of stitching for each day of the pandemic, and so it's going on, you know, many days now. So when it first started, of course, like the first couple months, it's all on one big piece of cloth, but then it kind of got broken up because the pandemic kept going and kept going, and so the blocks, which is the days, are separate things. Now, the way it's done is it's done completely in red and blue. The red section on each block is the number of people that died from COVID on that day, and then the blue section is the number of new cases that were reported on that day. So when I heard about this project, I was interested in doing it. I contacted the artist. It's being worked on with people all over the country, and actually other countries as well, but the statistics are for the United States that they're using. And I told, you know, a bit of my story, and that my mom had passed and everything, and she offered me the day that my mom passed, which was January 29th, 2021. The only issue with that date is that the number of stitches, meaning the number of people, is over 170,000, something like that. This is a huge piece of fabric. So I went ahead and I thought about it, because at first I was like, there's no way I can do that. But then I realized I have this whole community. So this is going to get passed around to a bunch of different people to stitch on. Anybody who's interested, who watches my channel, who would like to stitch on it, I have a list going, and it'll make its rounds. Obviously this is not a quick project. It's intended to go on for, well, it's going to be several years. And so that's basically what it is. You can look it up online, Stitching the Situation. There's a Facebook group, I think, there's a website, there's hashtags, there's, you know, you can look it up all over the internet. So anyway, so I started this, again, huge piece of Aida. It's 14 count Aida, and the artist has asked that everybody stitch with 3 strands, which I gotta say, I'm not a fan. And the Aida is super stiff, but I'm working with it, right? And then as soon as I get the border completed, I'm gonna give it a nice wash, because everything is either DMC, or I'm using one Threadworks that I soaked for like a week, so it is definitely color fast at this point. I'm gonna wash it to try and get some of the sizing out so it de-stiffens a little bit. But I did work on this. This is huge, as I will hold up the whole thing. That's how big it is. I did some more border here, and so kind of have 1.5 sides left about of the border, and then I worked some more on the middle motif. I am doing like this sort of floral wreath thing in the middle that's going to have a big R for my mom's name, and then people I pass it to, the only like requirements again are the colors. So like this little section has to be done in reds and pinks. This whole thing has to be done in shades of blue, but anything that you want. And then they asked that you stitch the date. So I did do a whole big font of the date, which is going to go at the bottom, all the way across. And then when I pass it to other people, they can stitch motifs, they can stitch background, they can stitch just a little section, whatever they want. So yeah, so I did the corner, the red stitching, and then I have this pink color to pass along if anybody just wants to stitch background. It'll be in the bag. That needs to be filled in with this pink. And then we have this whole big block. So anyway, so I did work more on the border, and then I worked on the floral wreath. So as I said, this is on a 14 count Aida. It's 3 strands. I do not like 3 strands. I think I guess it's the type of stitcher you are. There are some people that are really like, it has to be fully, you know, you can't see any fabric through, and it's a style, it's a look. It's not particularly my style. I will know that in the future I will never be stitching 3 strands because it's, I think, a big pain. But you know, it's gonna look really good when it's done. And if you're interested in seeing other people's blocks, just go look up some of those sites and you can see some of the stuff that other people have done. I don't know that they've shown anybody else who's stitching such a big block right now. But you know, it'll get done when it gets done, and when I get a little bit further along, I'll be ready to pass it on to other people. So that was stitching the situation, and I worked on that this week. Okay, let's see. I worked on my All Hallows Eve project, which is going in place. This is one of my older whips. It's funny, I went back and I looked at my very first video, and several of those projects that were in that first video are ones that are on my list right now to get done this year. Okay, so this is the All Hallows Eve by Blend in Place, and I'm doing this on a piece of Picture This Pleasant Jewel. This started my bright fabrics and kind of doing what I want to do as I go along kind of thing, because I'm not using it. Well, I am using called for, you know, if I have it, but then if I feel like changing the colors or changing what I'm doing, of course I do. So I worked on the little ghoul this week. He's supposed to have kind of an orangey yellow shirt, and I'm changing it to greens. So again, this is Picture This plus Aida. Picture This plus Aida. I think it's sort of a love it or hate it kind of thing. It's super soft. So it feels really nice, but stitching on it is kind of floppy. So you kind of have to keep it really taut, I think, or else, you know, at least my stitches don't look very even on it. Okay. I worked on my Lion Biscornu. I started this in August because I like to do a lion project every August, kind of because it's my birthday month and I'm a Leo. And I never done a Biscornu, so I was talking to my friend Dawn Duval. She'd never done a Biscornu either, so we decided to do a Biscornu. There is a hashtag, hashtag Biscornu beginners. I'm very terrible about posting 2 hashtags, so that's hit or miss. But here, let me take the hoop off. Oh no, I'm wrapping my thread around this. Hold, please. So I tend, and not just on this project, I do it on all my projects. I really hate like cutting threads that I know I'm gonna need again. So I kind of just leave them parked. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it becomes problematic, which it is right now because I got my threads all twisted. Okay. So there we are. So I got some more done on this lion, and the flowers are finished. And this is also a picture of this plus Aida, actually. So this is a cute little project. And I did go this week, actually while I was working on this, I'm like, since I've never done one before, I have no idea actually how you're supposed to put together BeStitchMe. I mean, I understand the concept of, you know, the corner goes to the middle and that's how you get this cool little shape and everything. So I understand that concept, but I went ahead and I watched the Tiny Modernist YouTube tutorial on how to do it. So it seems pretty easy. So actually and I don't know if this is on every BeStitchMe pattern, but on Tiny Modernist anyway, they have this sort of back stitch line all the way around it. And that's actually what you use for the construction. So you match up the pieces the way that you're supposed to, and then you actually stitch under those back stitch lines. You don't actually pierce the fabric. You're just kind of doing a binding stitch through those back stitches to stitch together. So it looks actually pretty easy. Okay, then on Wednesday, because it was Chatelaine Wednesday, I actually worked on 2 Chatelaines. I am trying to get my I'm losing things here. Hold on, there's a top of a needle minder somewhere in here, I think. Yes, yeah. Okay, I just felt something floating around. Okay. All right. So this is the Italian Street Cats, which is, it was a free pattern. It's now like a $5 pattern. And, oh, there it is. It was in there. And I put in some more leaves and parts of the lemons. I realized I had to pull out a few stitches down here because I had put the dark green stitches in the corner here, and they're supposed to go offset to the corner because the corners are beads. So I had to pull those 4 stitches out, but I did some more of the lemons and leaves. I think I'm going to go ahead and just do like all of the regular stitching. All of the regular stitching on this, and then go back and do all the back stitch and the beads. But I didn't feel like working on this the entire evening, so I just put in those few stitches. I worked on this for about an hour, and then I went to my newer Chatelaine that I started last week, which is Green Lace Mandala. I actually took the time this week to go online and print out a copy of the cover page so you guys can see it. This is a crappy copy, you know, but it'll give you an idea. So this is the green lace mandala. It's mystery number 2, I think. So this was actually a full-on mystery style kind of thing when it first came out. But of course now it's out, and it's called the green lace mandala. Or green lace garden mandala, I think. So there's where I am. So far, there's the only specialty stitches so far have been, there's rice stitches right in here, and then there's Algerine eyelets. So this pattern is about 151 by 151, so it's gonna fill up most of the height of this piece of fabric. So that gives you an idea of how big it's going to be. Okay. Friday was our Zoom. So you guys know what that means. On my Zoom calls, I tend to work on a counter canvas project because I can work on them easier with regular reading glasses, magnifying glasses, instead of the ones I use for stitching, because these are like 2 times glasses, and then the ones I use for stitching are like 4 times glasses. But if I use the 4 times to see the project, I can't see the computer. So I hate having to switch back and forth. So I can see counter canvas pretty easily with my regular glasses. So anyway, so I worked on tulips and fans. Look how far I got. So yeah, I only have 1 full box left, and just this tiny little bit in this box, and then of course the green border around the box, and then I'm on to just finishing the border. So I need to finish these green, they're not really scallops, triangles I guess, and then there is a stitch of this sparkly thread around each of these, and then it kind of gets filled in with this cream color. So I am very, very close to finish on this, which is good because it's on my finishing list for this year. And yeah, so maybe during the next Zoom I'll get it done, or maybe next 2 Zooms. I don't think it's going to take more than 2. I really don't, which means it should be done well before the end of the year, and I'm very excited about that. Then I will have the pattern to give to Julie from Stitching at the Cabin, because she and I are counted canvas trading buddies. So she gets mine that I finished, and I get hers. But yeah, this is a really, really pretty one. Again, it's Tulips and Fans by From Nancy's Needles, and it uses mostly Crone watercolors. There are 2 pearl cottons in it. I don't know if they're DMC or not. I'd have to look it up. And then there's a sparkly thread, a rainbow gallery. The original in the pattern is not available anymore. I got this kind of as a put together kit, I think off of eBay, but this had been substituted because the original one, this one is a little bit more blue purple. The original, it just was a slightly different tone, but this looks really pretty too. So anyway, very close to finish, which is exciting. Okay, and then last but not least, as far as my whips this week, is Cat Naps Cafe. Again, this is one of the sort of, I call it big ask, I don't know if that's the right word, but big pushes to get done. But it's I don't know if I'll be able to get this one done, but you know, it's a goal to shoot for. So this is Catnap Fae by Nadia Tate, and it's a Heaven and Earth Design Quick Stitch, and I finished a diagonal yesterday. So basically I did almost this whole diagonal. And so yeah, I don't know if it can get done, but I did it last year with Lavender Roses. I got a big push at the end. So this is the end of this is the corner. So the next diagonal at the bottom here won't even be a full 10 stitches. I mean, it will when you get up a little bit higher, but if we go back to the picture, I'm not stitching the background, so that's good. But you know, we've got all of the wing, and then kind of her and the kitty's bottoms, and some more greenery there. So I don't know if it is too much of a push to fit the finish, but we'll see if I can do it. This is on a fabric. This might actually be a Picture This Plus 2. It's called, it's a crystal, and the color is Pool. So Crystal Pool. Okay, and that is it for my whips this week. I don't have any haul to show you, but I thought instead I would pull out something and show you guys. Oh, excuse me. I pulled this out while I was talking to everybody on the Zoom call. And it was like, no, you got to show it so we can see it closer and everything. Because, of course, in Zoom, it's hard to show stuff. So, I have been crafty my whole life. I've always been doing something. I've never done kind of cross stitch. Of course, that's my new obsession. But I've always done stuff. And I've always been fascinated by beads, which I guess is not surprising now when you see that now I'm like into doing all this beading and all these pretty ladies and chatelaines and stuff like that, which have beading in them. But years ago, and I'm thinking this has got to be 20 or more years ago, because I was living at home with my mom, my brother. I got it in my head to do beading. And when I say beading, I don't actually know what this is called. So if anybody knows or has done this, so you're not stitching beads onto fabric. You are actually making fabric with thread and beads. And so I have two like art basket things that were moved to this apartment and haven't been opened since. I had them in my last apartment. I don't know that I ever opened them when I was living there. So they could be full of like something gross. I'm worried there could be bugs in there, dead bugs. One of them is full of like yarn and knitting type stuff, and other craft stuff. And the other one is full of beads. And when I say it's like a chest. It's like a pirate's chest kind of thing. It's full of beads and bead trays. And I don't know, I'm just afraid to open it and go digging. I opened it very lightly to get this thing out Friday. So at the time, again, 20 something years ago, I went to Michael's. I had this idea to do this beading technique. And I got this pattern, which I guess was a cross stitch pattern. I wasn't really aware of it at the time. And I wasn't aware of it. It was a book of all of these really pretty fantasy fairy tale things. Well, it was a Teresa Winsler book, pattern book. I don't even know if that thing is in print anymore. If I have it, it probably would be a good thing to have. But the pattern that I just loved, or well, I liked all of them, but one of the ones that I really loved was it's very, if you're into Terry Spencer, you'll know which one I'm talking about. It's the fairy sitting on top of the mushroom. Anyway, so I got tons and tons of beads. Crazy person that I was at the time, I mean, knowing nothing, I decided that each color that was listed, I would use a different color bead. Now, I know now, Teresa Winsler is the queen of the blended flosses, so, you know, you could have 100 colors of floss, and then you blend them, and you have 200 colors, you know. So anyway, I started this tapestry thing. It's like, what, maybe a quarter or a third done. And again, let me reiterate, because somebody was saying when I showed it on the Zoom, it's like, what fabric are you doing that on? There is no fabric. So basically you're taking, I would use a waxed beading thread, and you're doing basically what's called a ladder stitch, and you're just, you get a line of beads, and then you stitch beads next to each other in a row, and you're creating the fabric. And this is what I have so far. So again, there's no fabric. This is made out of beads and thread. And I think it's really beautiful. And I did a lot. But now it's like, what do I do with it? And everybody's like, finish it, finish it. I don't know. Part of the problem with it is, and I think part of why I kind of lost my steam at the time, was when I got into the fairy, which you can see I've kind of got a bit of her. She's one over one. And so I wasn't quite sure how to do that with beads, because obviously I have to take 4 stitches and turn them back into 1 stitch. I don't know if I was trying to use smaller. I don't even know. I have no idea what I was trying to do. Because again, this is a really long time ago. But so what do you guys think? What should I do? How should I continue? Should I continue with this? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have it in me anymore to continue with this. But if I didn't continue with it, how could I finish it off? Because, you know, it's got this really pretty border, but there's no border on this edge. I don't know. So I'm trying to hold it up close so you guys can see. It feels almost like, I don't know, armor or something. I mean, it's glass, it's heavy. I like the mousy. But it's not like fabric where you could cut it down, because if you cut, you're gonna lose, you know, everything, because everything's all woven together. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I hate to not take pride or not display this really cute panel that's done, but it isn't done. So I don't know. So give me ideas, you guys. So this is sort of haul from the past. So, I don't know, maybe someday I'll get brave and I will open those things and show you guys what's in there. It could be treasures, it could be something disgusting. I don't know. There could be like a dead animal in there and I wouldn't even know. Okay. So, plans for the coming week. More of the same, right? More of the same. Just doing the projects that I'm trying to get done. I'm missing some of the projects that are not on this list a little bit. So I have that dilemma of, do I work on them and take time away from getting these ones finished that I want to get finished, or do I just work on them because I miss them? So I don't know. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. I'm like surprised with myself that I have not worked on my mermaid, my Little Mermaid in like 2 weeks. So I think I'm going to work on this today, because she's so close. I feel like she's so close to being finished, right? She needs her final tail fin done, and then some beading in the middle fins. There's more beads that go up here, and there's beads that come down here. And then I have her dingle hoppers to hang around her neck. And, you know, that's and then finishing her. So I feel like I really, really want to get this done. So I think I'm going to work on her today. Yeah. It's just, she's down to like, I don't want to say the more difficult part, but it's like mostly like cranic and beading, and I like both of those things, but there are just a little bit more tedious, I guess. I find after I've been doing a lot of cranic and beading and cranic and beading and cranic and beading, just stitching with regular floss is like, oh, this is going so easily and fast. So if you have that craving for cranic, for sparkly threads and beading, this is a good project. I mean, not even changing it into Little Mermaid, but just the regular one itself is full of cranic and beading. So yeah, so I'm gonna work on her, and then, you know, more of the same of everything else. I'm a little worn out today. I was having some really bad back pain last week. You know, just one of those things to work through, and then going to the funeral thing tomorrow, or it wasn't really a funeral, it was a memorial yesterday. It took a little bit out of me. It was really hot yesterday, and of course it was outside, and then we went out to lunch, and you know, by the time I got home, it was almost 4 or 5 o'clock, and it took a lot out of me yesterday. So I think I'm gonna maybe do some dishes today, put some laundry away, and then stitch and relax. And I think that should probably do it for me. And then back to work next week. Work is still crazy busy with the transition that I've told you guys about. But I'm learning the new processes, so hopefully all the kinks will get ironed out soon and everything will be smooth sailing. But I think that is about it for me today. This is a little bit, well, I don't know. I'm at 43 minutes. Maybe a tiny bit shorter than normal. Yeah, so I hope to see you guys on the Zoom call in 2 weeks. And have a very happy Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Carla. Bye-bye.